Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, everyone. Happy Monday. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam, Ronis, right here with you. Fantasy Life on Sirius XM, Fantasy Sports Radio with you for the next couple hours, breaking down everything we saw in Week 12, getting you ready for, remember, a quick turnaround because we've got 3 games on Thursday. We've got a game to talk about and break down for tonight. It's Thanksgiving week. Adam, how you doing? How's it going?
Doing well, man. I am on a betting heater right now.
Ooh, you know what? I saw. I
In
didn't
the
want to be the one
NFL,
that said anything.
in the NFL and NBA. Look, I know it's going to cool off at some point, but when you get these streaks, it
Hell
helps
yeah.
helps lessen the blow when you do go through a down streak. Fantasy football was up and down this weekend. I had some really
Mm-hmm.
good performances and some dreadful ones, but that happens. When you're in like double-digit leagues, you have a variety of players dispersed across several teams, and there's highs and lows. So, I do have Jahmyr Gibbs in one league. That
There we
was
go.
really fun. If you went against him, that wasn't fun. But I don't have any Jaxon Smith-Njigba. As we've talked about, I had a lot last year, and boy, does it absolutely suck to not
Can't
have him this year.
believe that you went last year. And we talked about we liked him this year. I mean, the thing that we wouldn't have liked was more Sam Darnold for me, and I still took JSN in a couple places.
So I guess it was where you were drafting. He generally went in the third round. And I
Yeah.
think that and I remember we talked about it too, how I really didn't like that 2-3 turn if you were picking early.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently he was the answer.
He's
and
like, I'm
I
right here.
and I
Take me.
and I passed on him in that spot. So that is very painful because what he is doing right now is insane. Like
Amazing.
he set the single season Seahawks record already through 11 games for
Yeah.
receiving yards.
Yep. And he's just gonna keep going. It's so exciting. I've got him in one in my college league, and shout out to me because I also drafted Jahmyr Gibbs in that one. So I had a beautiful fantasy day. Yeah, but you said it. We're in so many leagues that I'm looking across others. I'm facing JSN, I'm facing Jahmyr Gibbs, but yeah, those two, Jahmyr Gibbs with 55, and like you said, JSN was obviously the answer at the 2-3 turn because he can't be stopped, and I put him and will continue to put him as my wide receiver one throughout the rest of the year because even if you look at Puka Nakua, and earlier in the week, if you saw my rankings early, I had Puka at 1, and then I just switched him at him, and it's going to
Yeah.
be like that the rest of the way. You can't do it anymore. And Puka Nakua is still done well. He got you 16.7 fantasy points, 16 plus fantasy points, but JSN is on another level, and you just have to sit back and enjoy it. If you face him every single week in and week out, you just have to appreciate it because what he's doing right now is incredible.
8 100-yard games out of
Hmm.
11. His worst game is 79 receiving yards. He has at least 93 receiving yards in 10 of 11 games. And I don't even know what they could set the prop at anymore that you can't say, yeah, I got to take it. I think it was in the high 90s this week. I know last week he closed at 100 and a half. And at this point, like, I don't see how you can't take it. Even his longest reception, again, he
Hmm.
obliterated that with a 63 yard as his longest. His lowest in a game is 26 yards. He did
That's
consecutive weeks against the
crazy.
Texans and Washington. So, yeah, he is just smashing. It's double digit targets every week. Uh, Imagine if he had more touchdowns. He has 7 touchdowns, which is good as a receiver, right? He's on pace to get
For
about
sure.
12. But could you imagine if he had like a few more right now? it's
No.
what he is doing is insane. I mean, it really is. We use the term cheat code a lot. This is literally a cheat code.
He's going to be one where at the end of the season we look through just fantasy winners and fantasy championships, and we will see Jaxon Smith-Njigba on most of those teams just because
Yeah.
of it's because of the consistency too. You're consistently getting 20 to 22 plus fantasy points week in and week out. And it was really at the early part of the season where he had, and I'm using air quotes here, low games because that was 13 fantasy points against Arizona. We talk about those divisional games, they get a little weird. They held him to 79 yards. But after that, you've seen consistent, 19, 18 fantasy points weeks 1 and 2. And since the first 3 of 4 games, he's just been going off. It's just not even a question.
The one thing he has done, it's not his fault. He is crushing anyone else in that Seattle passing game.
Oh, yeah.
You cannot start anyone else. It's just him and the running backs. If we get to that at some point,
Yeah.
that's still dicey, but they're productive. Sometimes it's just erratic. But you can't start Cooper Cup. I mean, Rashid Shaheed was a great pickup, but it's not translating to fantasy. It might maybe help them down the road, a big play in a big game, but you can't play anyone else. It's just him, and that's it.
Nope. But they consistently find ways to win in that space. And I think that's the crazier part with the Seahawks. And we'll break down, I mean, the division is fantastic. We saw what the Rams did last night, but it's crazy to look at the Seahawks, Adam, and say that they're probably the worst part about that team is the running back situation. Kenneth Walker did get more this weekend, so you saw a little bit, more work going towards him, like they said that would happen, but it didn't translate to fantasy points. I feel like we got that a couple different places with these running backs where we saw a little bit more work, but it didn't necessarily translate to fantasy points. So now we're just going to have to keep being patient with these guys going forward.
Yeah, look, it's tough to tell people who have Kenneth Walker like it's getting better because they don't want to hear it because we
No.
are now here in week 12 going to week 13, and it has been an absolutely dismal performance from a
Yep.
fantasy perspective, considering where you drafted him. But we have seen him basically take over as the lead back, and he had a solid day in PPR. But the problem is the goal line carry went to Charbonnet.
Of
So he
course.
scored another touchdown, but it is trending in the right direction for Walker. It might be too late for a lot of those people that have Kenneth Walker on their fantasy teams, but if you are somehow alive, I think you do have to feel better. And maybe this was their plan that, okay, let's get late in the season and go in the direction of Kenneth Walker a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's what we said. They just wanted to keep him healthy. So maybe we see a little bit of a difference going forward, but I wouldn't if you have Kenneth Walker too, you've just been having to deal with this all season, Adam. It's not like it's gone away. He's been right in the middle of where you drafted him during draft season. They are taking on the Vikings this weekend. Then they finish out the year with the Falcons, the Colts, the Rams one more time. Panthers are week 18. So at least you can look at or week 17, excuse me. And you can look at that and say, okay, this could be a little bit good, and then they play the 49ers to end things. But yeah, the Seahawks, Rams, again, that division is going to be really fun to watch down the stretch. You said you've gotten hot on betting streaks. What about your Dallas Cowboys? You didn't want to start the show off like that? I'm shocked. Wow,
Uh,
that lived up to expectations. It actually it exceeded my expectations. We thought it
yeah,
was going to be high scoring, but I didn't think it was going to be that.
it didn't start out well. They were down 21 nothing, and as the Cowboys do, they make mistake after mistake, whether it's running into the punter, stupid penalties, and it's just like, well, we've seen this story for many years as Cowboys fans, but they did turn it around. Again, the defense has gotten better. They did
Yeah.
not allow a point in the second half, and it's always good to beat the Eagles. In the long run, they're not going to go to the playoffs. They would basically have to win out or go 5-1, which is going to be really difficult to do. But I always say when I'm watching the Cowboys, I want those fantasy numbers. So
There we
Dak
go.
Prescott gave it to me. A lot of people were concerned about starting him this week in a tough matchup, and he came through with 354, 2 touchdown passes, and a rushing touchdown. George Pickens, I said it at the time. I could not believe how late he was going in drafts.
Yep.
And I have him in a few leagues, not enough. He is balling out. He is going to get paid. He's having a better season than CeeDee Lamb right now. He really is. CeeDee Lamb is still getting the targets. He led the team in targets, but too many drops. And you still play CeeDee Lamb, and if he catches like one of those, it's a bigger day.
Yeah.
But it's a little frustrating for him right now because there's plays that he should be making. But Pickens, man, he is just making some insane catches. The connection is there. And again, this was easy to see. This is the best offensive situation he's been in. We know how dreadful it is in Pittsburgh. It's still dreadful there.
Yep.
And he was playing for a contract. He had a CeeDee Lamb on the other side to take away attention. So it was kind of easy to see Pickens putting up this big year. And it's even better than anyone could have imagined because I think he's like top 5 in points per game in PPR formats. And
Has to be.
another guy, too, that they misprice his props every single week. They always put CeeDee Lamb way higher. And Pickens is the guy going out there putting up big numbers. This is consecutive weeks of 144 receiving yards or more. He's got 4 games this year at least 134 receiving yards. He's at least 78 receiving yards in 7 straight games and up to 8 touchdowns on the season, already over 1,000 yards. So that's another pick that has helped people a lot. Because generally, yeah,
Sure.
5th round. I mean, and even in earlier drafts, it might have been a little bit later. He started to rise up as we got closer to draft season. I think people
Yeah.
started to put the puzzle together and say, yeah, I think Pickens is going to be good this year.
And has he been? I mean, you look at the stats and it's an overreaction Monday, but that's not an overreaction to say he's had a better season. You just look overall. I mean, he's got 1,054 yards on the season, which puts him in second across the NFL, 67 receptions, which is eighth. He's got 8 touchdowns. And then you look at CeeDee Lamb and it's there. He's getting you fantasy points, but it's not to the same level that you've seen before. He has 632 yards, 2 touchdowns, 44 receptions as well. So yeah, George Pickens. We've talked about this over the last couple weeks because that'll be one of the bigger conversations in the offseason, but they have to find a way to keep him on that team. And if not, he's making money somewhere else because this is the year that you look at him and you say, okay, he's playing for that contract. I don't know if they franchise tag him again. I think that's going to be around 26 to 28 million for wide receivers, but he's done this team well, and it's been really fun to watch again. Dak Prescott and his connection was fantastic. George Pickens finished with 9 catches, 146 yards, and a touchdown there. Set up he also helped set up Brandon Aubrey's game-winning 42-yard field goal, and they got this win. I will say too, the Eagles' second half meltdown. There were penalties on both sides of the ball. I'll say that because the two teams combined for 22 penalties, and it was a little bit messy. 165 yards off those penalties, two turnovers each. But yeah, the second half meltdown from the Eagles defense more specifically wasn't what I was expecting. AJ Brown came through though, got you fantasy points. It was another squeaky wheel game, Adam. I don't know. I was happy to see it though. I'm sure his managers were happy to see it. Overall, fantastic game.
Yeah, look, we've said this with Brown. I mean, you're really just going to have to play him every week and understand that there could be down games. Smith, same thing. Barkley, though, another disappointing
Oof.
game on the ground. I mean, he came through in the passing game with 7 catches for 52 yards, but boy, it has been an absolutely awful season for Barkley. And again, a lot of people were fading Barkley, including myself. I would have taken him mid first round, definitely not in the top 6. Because again, you just look at history and these running backs coming off the season that he did with that amount of volume and going to the Super Bowl. You knew that, I guess maybe injury was more of the worry. He stayed
Yeah.
healthy, but it has been really bad. I mean, he is 15th in points per game at running back in PPR formats. Now, again, he's had like a lot of solid weeks, a lot of 14, 15, but when you take him in the range where McCaffrey was going later, Taylor was going around later, Gibbs was right there, Achane was a little later, and those guys are putting up those numbers, and you're getting that from Barkley, that stings.
Yeah, it's a pick that hurt you a little bit, and we've gotten every single year we've got guys in the first round that hurt your fantasy teams, and feels like it's almost been and maybe we say this every year, but feels like this year it feels like there's been a lot more disappointments in that first round than anything else, but 12.4 fantasy points against Dallas, where we look at the matchup and we say we're playing every single person. I don't even want to say you'll take 12.4 because it's Saquon Barkley. It's your first round pick. When you've got Jahmyr Gibbs putting up 55 fantasy points, it's going to set you back, and that's what it is with Saquon Barkley. It's the same conversation though that we just had about AJ Brown. You picked him in the first round. The better options are probably ones that
Nah,
you have to
Brown
look.
Brown
Yeah,
was second round this year.
isn't that what I said? What did I
You
say?
said first.
Oh, I don't know why I said that. I think I meant when we're talking about AJ Brown, you just have to keep playing him. It's the same thing with Saquon Barkley,
Oh yeah,
and
you
it's
can't bench
unfortunate
him.
you can't bench him. I mean, we got the 33 fantasy points against the Giants. That was week 8. Since then, 13, 10, 12, and that's yeah. The last season, the last high we saw in fantasy points before the New York Giants game was 17 against Denver, 17 against Tampa Bay. Those were consecutive weeks 4 and 5. So brutal. I guess I expected him to have a little bit of a down year, but even then, Adam, I thought to myself, well, if anyone was going to be able to come out and still have a spectacular fantasy season, it would be Saquon Barkley, to be totally honest.
Yeah, and I saw that side of it too. You know, he's 28 years old. It's not like he's that old. And
No.
I think the offensive line obviously is an issue. Barkley clearly is probably the wear and tear from last year is a factor as well because we just haven't seen explosive plays from him. He's got one game this year of more than 20 points in PPR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
it's brutal.
yeah, it's he stayed healthy and he's played every game, but the production has just not been there, especially for the last 5 games have not been good.
And they went really silent. I mean, they jumped to, I thought it was going to be one of these games, 21-0, right? 3 touchdowns or with touchdowns on their first 3 possessions. And I thought, okay, this is going to, at least we can be playing from behind for Dallas and they're going to at least give us fantasy points. Then they didn't score again. They totaled 107 yards and they had three and outs. They fumbled the ball. They missed a field goal. Again, the penalties were different here. So, yeah, but fantasy points, Adam. That's literally all we care about. And look at your Cowboys. We can't even play that rejoin anymore this week. The Dallas Cowboys can't ruin your weekend
Well,
when
they
they're
play
winning.
on Thanksgiving, so
Well,
there's still
that'll be a
time.
great game. Come on, we could be positive about that, right? That will be a great game.
I
Cowboys
hope
Chiefs.
so. I mean, yeah. I mean, the Chiefs coming off a overtime game on a short week,
That
traveling
was
on the road.
phenomenal. That was a big win. We can talk about that one because doesn't it feel like the Chiefs saved their season? I don't even think that's an overreaction to say. Wait, do you get Post Malone? Are you the Post Malone
I don't know.
halftime game?
Are we?
Oh,
I don't
come
know.
on. I know you know.
Why would I? Why would I
why
look
do you,
into that?
I don't know. It's just like a fun little
Yeah,
side thing. All right. Well, don't worry. I'll look it
I know
up for
you'll.
you.
That's your job.
All right, I'll look that up for you. I'll see whose birthday is on Thanksgiving as well, so we can have the narrative game. But it is an overreaction Monday, so I do want to talk about that Colts Chiefs game because that came down and was a very great game. We've got some offensive coordinator firings as well that I want to mention. Overreaction Monday right here, Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. We'll be right back. Oh, this is Fantasy Life right here. Happy Monday, everyone. Make sure you're sending in any questions that you have. I know a couple Monday night miracles need to happen for you to win at Valenzuela 17 at Adam Ronis over there on X. I've got one tonight, Adam, in GST, in the GST League, where I think my opponent has one Ricky Pearsall, one Tedderell McMillan. I'm up by 8. I've got Rico. I'm nervous about that one. We'll see what happens.
You only have one?
I have Rico and I've got, I don't know why I kept the Panthers defense, but I've got the Panthers defense.
Okay. Well, hopefully
So
they get a
that's 4
defensive
points.
touchdown for
4
you.
points right there. Well, yeah, I had to stream this week, so they've been okay. I really want to get that win though. I need more fantasy points too, so I can make the playoffs. By the way, you do get Post Malone in Dallas. I know that you were on the edge of your.
Oh yeah, I couldn't wait. Thank you
Yeah.
for delivering that great news.
It's Post Malone in Dallas, Lil Jon in Baltimore. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Turn down for what? And then Jack White in Detroit. So there you go. Anyways,
Aren't people going to be getting like food during halftime anyway?
of course, but that's
Okay.
the fun part. You like walk back in. You're like, oh, you like Thanksgiving food?
Of course,
Yeah. Okay, turkey pie?
everything.
Cranberries. I don't like the cranberries.
No, I'm not a cranberry
Okay,
person.
all right, there we go. Pumpkin pie. I know you
Pumpkin
like
pie.
that.
Oh
There
yeah, sweet potato pie. All that. Let's go.
I was like, there it is. It's the pumpkin pie. All right. So it is an overreaction Monday right here. Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Did just want to mention those that Chiefs game. I mean, because it doesn't even feel really like an overreaction, but to say they saved their season beating those Indianapolis Colts in overtime, that was a huge game that they had to win. Harrison Butker made that 27-yard field goal in overtime. Chiefs rallied 23-20 victory over the Colts. I was happy to see the Colts, stand their ground because a lot of people were, myself included, looking around saying, what kind of Colts team are we going to get? Is Daniel Jones going to kind of turn back into his old ways? But yeah, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they had to rally from, it was a 20-9 deficit in the fourth quarter. So they came back, they improved to 6-5. Indianapolis Colts 8-3. Got good days from Rashee Rice, who was a little bit quiet at the beginning. I was nervous that he wasn't going to put up any fantasy points. Kareem Hunt, if you had him as well, 22 fantasy points, full point PPR. So yeah, shout out to the Chiefs who were kind of in danger of losing this game and were able to come back.
They needed it desperately, even though they
Yep.
did move down one spot in the conference. Even with winning, they are now the 10th in the AFC. But they needed this to keep their hopes alive. They have very little margin for error after the slow start. They ran 91 plays in this game. 91. So the Colts barely had the ball. They just kept feeding Kareem Hunt. 30 carries in this game.
Yep.
And they did enough to get the W. So, and now the Colts, too, it's going to be a challenge for them because they got the Texans, Jacksonville right behind them. They play the Texans this week. They play Jacksonville the following week. And then the last 2 weeks of the season, they face Jacksonville and the Texans. So, it's in front of them. If they handle their business, they'll win the division. But things became more interesting with their loss.
The Texans could overtake the Colts and win the
Yeah.
AFC South by the end of this if we're being totally serious about it because Thursday night was huge and I kept going back to that game and thinking, wow, I've completely forgotten that the Bills lost that Thursday night game. They've improved to 3-0 with Davis Mills as their starting quarterback. CJ Stroud, it feels like he's going to be good to go for week 13. So they could go back to him, but I mean, man, they're above 500 for the first time this season at 6-5. The Colts again lost this game. They're sitting at 8-3. And like you said, Adam, it's really the matchup and the math the rest of the way because the Texans and the Colts haven't played yet. So they do play on Sunday. They play again week 18. And if they get CJ Stroud back and they're able to kind of win out the rest of their games, they'll finish ahead of the Colts in the AFC South standings. So if maybe even by a tiebreaker, but it's going to be a good run here for them.
Yeah, but if the Colts beat them this week, the
Well,
league
then
goes
it's
to 3
over.
games. So, and
Yeah,
then
then it's
then you have
done.
to worry about you. And
And
then
they
they could put
still have the Jaguars,
yeah,
right?
well they could
Yeah.
put they play them in 2 weeks. So, if the
Okay.
Colts win the next 2 weeks, then
Wow.
they take control of the division.
They're kind
So
of
it's
done.
it's in their hands. It's yeah, it's a tough loss, it was kind of a litmus test for them, but they held up. Again,
They
it
did.
wasn't
They did.
I mean that Taylor got shut down, but they also didn't have the ball much and
Yeah. We
I
didn't
mean
get many
Jones
fantasy points out of the Colts as a
no,
whole.
it was
I mean,
again
it was a
they ran
slow
about
week.
50 plays, so they didn't have the ball. It's always difficult, but yeah, you really got nothing. I mean, Pittman did get the touchdown. Uh, I mean, Tyler Warren for a tight end, 9.5 is okay. Alec Pierce
Mm,
had 1 catch for 26 yards after his recent stretch.
that was brutal.
So yeah, you really didn't get much. I mean, Daniel Jones did have 2 passing touchdowns if you used
Yeah.
him, but yeah, for the most part, it was a very disappointing fantasy day from the Colts.
Yeah, I switched out. Who did I do right in? Oh, it was GST about 5 minutes because I finished those shows. So 5 minutes before kickoff, I was looking. I put in Alec Pierce for Rashad or Rashi Riz. What are we doing here, Adam? When I was looking at my team, but I put in Alec Pierce and I said for Rashid Shaheed. And thank goodness because Rashid Shaheed got well, point 0.3 points to 3 points. I guess, I needed the extra 2 points. There you go.
Yeah, my big decision this week was
Brutal.
Pierce or David Montgomery. I went with
Ooh.
Montgomery. They both sucked.
Yeah, that wasn't. Yeah, David Montgomery. I mean, when you have Jahmyr Gibbs scoring 55 fantasy
Well,
points, what are you
no.
going to do?
So I think a lot of people looked at this as a big week for Montgomery. And, I wrote about this in on my recap that you can find on fantasylife.com right now is this is where predicting game script goes wrong because Detroit was double digit favorites against the Giants. They were home. They were coming off a tough loss. We know the
Mhm.
history of Detroit coming off losses. You expected them to be in control, and especially with a game on Thanksgiving, they might have said, "Okay, yeah, we're ahead. We can scale back on Gibbs a little bit. This will be a Montgomery game in the second half." Instead, it was the complete opposite. They were playing
Yep.
from behind the entire game, and they were in danger of losing this game. So in that instance, you're like, okay, we've got to get the ball to our best players. That is Jahmyr Gibbs. If this had gone to plan, I don't think Gibbs would have had 26 touches. They would have probably, backed off a little bit if they were in control. And it was the complete opposite. And because of that, Montgomery only had 8 touches in the game. So
That was brutal.
that's the difficulty because we've seen it. Montgomery in games where they play inferior defenses, that's where he has good games and usually means that they're winning comfortably. And that wasn't the case in this one.
Yeah, they were able to eke out a win there, 34-27, but 6.7 fantasy points from David Montgomery. I'm looking at ESPN scoring. So you see 5 carries for 18 yards. You see 3 receptions off 3 targets for 19 yards. And yeah, a little bit of a slow day there for one David Montgomery, especially like I said, when you look at Jahmyr Gibbs, it's not much you can do about that. On the other side here, overreaction or not, Adam, no one is startable with JJ McCarthy at quarterback. And uh, do they have a new quarterback in 2026? Because what are we doing here with JJ McCarthy? I mean, we thought it was bad, but this on Sunday was just worse than probably anyone could have expected. Because you look, JJ McCarthy was 12 of 19, 87 yards, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks, 34.2 rating. It was awful. I mean, you look at Justin Jefferson, he had 4 receptions. TJ Hawkinson had 4. Aaron Jones had 3. All the way down at the bottom, you got zeros from Jordan Addison. What's going on? We can't start anyone here.
Yeah, it's very difficult. They ran 44 plays, and part of that is they can't get first downs. They can't stay on the field. So, yeah, I mean, this is This is Justin Fields territory with the passing yards
Bad.
number for McCarthy, and it is brutal right now. I mean, look, if you have Jefferson, you've been starting him. I don't know. Maybe we do get some calls sometimes. People are in shallow leagues where maybe they have better receivers. I mean, hell, at this point, you're starting Michael Wilson over him, right?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
Harrison's out, I mean, that's not crazy to say. I mean, Hawkinson, you can't start. Addison, I guess you can't start either. I have him in the GST. That's a deep league, and I don't think I can go with him next week. I'll probably take anyone else who has a pulse and put him in because it is that bad at this point.
It's horrible. I mean,
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson's averaging 11.1 points per game with JJ McCarthy returning from that ankle injury. We
I,
cover up the name and we say,
yeah, if
ooh,
you sometimes you need to do that. Now, they go to Seattle next week in the Sam Darnold. Do we call it revenge game or
oh yeah,
or do
baby,
we
revenge game.
Yeah, so
They
I
let him
think
walk.
Darnold might have like 4 touchdowns in that game. And Seattle's defense at home against this Vikings offense right now, oh, that is definitely ugly. So Jefferson's probably the only guy you can start. And I understand people have him are like, how? I can't play him. Well, okay, tell me who your other receivers are. But it is brutal because that was the thing was, oh yeah, Jefferson's got it done with every quarterback he's played with.
Yeah.
O'Connell with
Except
quarterbacks, and it's McCarthy that is bringing him down. So there were probably some people out there like, yeah, I can't take Jefferson that early because of McCarthy. And I think more people were on the every quarterback has gotten it done. So clearly he has brought Jefferson down. Jefferson has 2 touchdowns on the season. 2.
Yep.
He has not had a 100-yard game since week 5, and I believe that was with Carson Wentz. Yeah, that had to be with Carson Wentz in week
It
5.
was
So,
because it was week 9 that JJ McCarthy came back.
and I don't even know if we can look at the schedule at this point and say, oh, okay, it could get better. I mean, at Seattle, obviously tough spot. Home
Yeah.
to the Commanders. I mean, if you can't do it there, at Dallas, obviously their defense has gotten better. At the Giants, like, come on. That's the thing when you look, at the Giants week 16, although that is on the road, could be weather and wind. And then week 17, they're home against the Lions. But I don't think if McCarthy's still the quarterback, that schedule means anything at this point. It's been that bad.
He'll be a wide receiver 2 for me going into this weekend. And then of course we reevaluate, but we just talked about really disappointing first round picks, Justin Jefferson, not because of his own play, but because of the situation around him and the environment around him, which I think honestly hurts just as bad, right? Because you say it's not Justin Jefferson's fault, he's still J-Jeff, and 9 times out of 10 we just say play him because you don't have better options, but it's all still there for him. But when you're averaging 11.1 points per game with a system that's supposed to be quarterback friendly, right, Adam? I mean, it is a quarterback friendly system. McCarthy is just not proving that he is growing here. Kevin O'Connell has to be conservative with the play calling because that's all that they can do to try and get McCarthy up. I don't even know if up to speed's the right way to say it, just better. But he's just inefficient. Footwork isn't good. He just looks really out of it. And so when we haven't seen any type of growth over these past couple weeks, it feels like a big question of whether we're going to see it at all this season. Like you said, the schedule. I mean, when you're playing the Dallas Cowboys, but their defense has gotten better these past couple weeks. It's not the same Dallas Cowboys team that we were talking about, between weeks 1 and 6. It's a little bit different there, but you have to downgrade everyone on this team. And obviously they had to abandon the run because of the score and everything else like that. Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason. This team overall as a whole is just trending down, and doesn't look like it's going to change.
Yeah, in a game they were playing from behind, he had 19 pass attempts.
Yep.
Again, they
There's no
can't.
way you win with
He's
that.
under a lot of pressure. I mean, the offensive line does have more injuries and hasn't been good. That is a factor, but he's done nothing to compensate for it. So the whole team has been brought down, and even Aaron Jones, right?
Yeah, it wasn't great. He had, what did he end up with? 12 or 8. I see 8.7 fantasy points.
Yeah,
So he had 9
there's
carries.
no touchdowns.
No.
For anyone.
Jordan Mason worse. Yeah, I mean, you're not starting Jordan Mason at this point
No.
anyway, but
Yeah, the only guy you're starting there is Jefferson and maybe Aaron Jones. And again, you don't want to, but at the same time, we also have a lot of teams where there's not a lot of desirable players, and it just comes down to what you have on your roster. But you're stuck putting Jefferson in your lineup for most teams.
The Vikings lost to a superior team, and it feels like that's going to be the way it happens the rest of the season. You just have to hope that, I mean, it's how conservative they are with the play calling and the lack of plays, everything else like that. Because when we talked to Kevin O'Connell at the Super Bowl, and it was one of those things where he's a quarterback whisperer, but it's not happening with JJ McCarthy. So the question is, does it happen at all this season? Like you said, offensive line, I mean, they did allow a 50% pressure rate in this game. Micah Parsons was doing damage on the other side. And McCarthy was sacked 5 times, pressured 11 times. And that was, something that sometimes guys can't turn away from. So injuries have been a theme here as well. But with JJ McCarthy in there, we almost have to downgrade everyone. We're going to continue on though. Fantasy football winners and losers, more overreactions from week 12 as well. We're going to do all of that here coming up next. All right, everyone, the holidays are coming up, and you've heard me talk about Huel before. You never want to skip a meal, and I'm really glad that I found Huel for the next couple of weeks here. In these drinks by Huel, you don't have to worry about the sugar if you're going to be hungry again in the next 20 minutes. Their Be Ready to Drink shakes have 35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, no sugar added, gluten-free, and the best part is they are under $5 per meal. Again, my personal favorite is that chocolate peanut butter. They also have these daily greens, which I'm going to be totally honest, I don't even have cans of them anymore because I've had all of them. So you want to go try the peach hibiscus one because that is my favorite. I'm telling you, it doesn't even taste like a super greens drink. It was developed by registered nutritionists and dietitians. 42 vitamins, minerals, and superfoods, only 25 calories, 4 grams of fiber, and only 1 gram of sugar. Again, I know you all listening are really busy. Holidays are coming up, so make sure you go and try Huel because they make healthy eating simple. They also just launched into Target stores nationwide. Try both products today with 15% off your purchase for new customers with my exclusive code FANTASYLIFE at www.huel.com/fantasylife. Use my code, fill out that post-checkout survey, and support the show. Ugh, great song. I can't even say our producers are in mid-season form, Adam, because we're halfway through. Super Bowl form, right? Is that what we're doing? Super Bowl form?
Fantasy football playoff form. I mean, it is insane after this week. 2 weeks left in the regular season.
It's nuts. It's crazy. Don't give up, guys. I mean, this is where it's made for some people. If you're sitting there right at 500, I mean, these next couple weeks are pivotal key. You don't need us to tell you that. These Monday Night Miracles, I see some coming in here, Adam, where people have really close matchups. We still have a lot of guys that have yet to go, especially tonight. Panthers taking on the 49ers, which we'll break down. I see this. Let me show you this one from Joe. I don't know if you see this one. He said he got JSN with the 41st pick in round 5. His team: Ja'Marr Chase, Chase Brown, Jonathan Taylor, Jaxon, Smith-Njigba, David Montgomery, Patrick Mahomes. Lit. So lit. Look at that.
Yeah, those 10-team leagues can be pretty fun. They are. It's a 10-team league.
It is fun though. I would, but you know what's crazy is that
wait, you're in one this year. You said, right?
I'm in one. I'm in one. You know what's crazy though is that I sit back and look at that team, and sometimes most of the time actually, my hardest decisions have come from the 10-team leagues because you have so many good players that you have to look and you just say, what receive, like which, and for me, it's been the receivers. Which receiver do I play here week in and week out? I mean, there's been some tough start sit questions there.
No, I agree, especially if you only start 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and 1 flex. That makes it even more challenging, especially if you built a good team. And if you're with Fantasy Life or listening to this channel, then yeah, you have a loaded team. And that makes it challenging, where I think is in our deep formats, you're starting everyone, right? Like we're talking about Jordan Addison, like, well, we kind of can't sit him. We don't have better options on the bench. So the decisions are a little bit easier, but in the 10-team leagues, yeah, it can be challenging, especially if you draft a great team. And it's also easier to overcome bad picks, like not to call this guy out, but Evan Ingram in round 7, that is terrible. Pick 61, Evan Ingram.
Had high hopes for Evan Ingram. It was the Joker role.
I didn't. I didn't draft him anyway. I wasn't buying it.
Him. Calvin Ridley, your guy down there, though.
Yeah, I did like Calvin Ridley. That didn't work out.
Jalen Warren's been nice. Stephon Diggs as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Joe. I see. So here's another one from Dalton. I don't know if you see this one. Survived Gibbs 60-point week to win 7 straight after a 1-4 start. This is exactly why you don't give up. Shout out to Dalton because he is winning this. It looks like 100%. He has no one left to play. His opponent has no one left to play. 156 to 140. But Matthew Stafford, Quinshon Judkins, Kareem Hunt, Pickens, Yossi Vosh gave you 10. Juwan Johnson, Parker Washington had another good day. This is again 1-4 start. It's just you don't give up. You can keep going and get on a push. And now it looks like he's going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I say it every year, and I think people don't buy it enough. They get discouraged. I remember starting a year 0-4 and won a championship.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a variety of reasons. It could be you've had bad luck with the schedule where you faced high scoring teams. You could have had some injuries. Your stars underperformed. Whatever it is, it can come together. And even now, I've said many times, most of my leagues, the standings are really bunched up this year. I'm
Yep.
not seeing dominant teams. Like my best team is 9-3. So that's not even running away with it because I think there's another team 9-3, and there's a couple with 8s, and then there's a lot of leagues where 6-5, 7-4 teams. So it's really tight this year. You just need to get into the playoffs, and all it takes is a nice run of 3 weeks, and you can win a championship. So I feel like this is a year where you might get a lot of teams that sneak in as the 5 and 6 seeds winning the championship.
What are we doing with Lamar Jackson? Can we? I mean, at this
First
point,
thing
this is a big
is,
conversation.
yeah, first thing is you cry and realize what a terrible pick you made. Then
I might do that.
then you recover.
Gross.
But so he
What
said,
7.22 fantasy points
"Oh, it's been bad. He has no
this
touchdowns
weekend.
over the last 2 games." And he said in the post game that he's fine. It's not health related. I think everyone else believes that's not true because a lot of the value for Lamar Jackson is tied to his legs and the
Yep.
rushing. And we are not seeing it at all. 7 carries, 11 yards. He's just not running. So I do think that health is a factor. He's also missed like Wednesday and Thursday practices a
Yeah, for
lot
the
too.
last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what this week it was an ankle, right? Last week it was
Yes.
a knee.
Yep. And
So
then they came out and said it's the same. It's the same thing as last week when it comes to practice reports. They're like, he's not going to practice today. He'll be back tomorrow and good to play, which was true.
yeah, because this was ugly. I know they won the
This was bad.
game, but this was not a good performance. I think they had 72 total yards of offense in the first half. They were fortunate to play the Jets. They had 241 total yards of offense. The Jets had more offense than them at 282. So 4.2 yards per play for Baltimore. So it has not been good. Now they got the win, and they are in first place now, which we all predicted when they were 2-5. I mean, the sports books had them as the favorite to win the
Yeah,
division when they were
that's true.
2-5. So we kind of knew that they would be able to put it together, but it's not Lamar Jackson producing at all. So yeah, it's a tough scenario right now. They do get the Bengals on Thursday night. We know how bad the Bengals defense is. To me, if Lamar Jackson doesn't have a good game on Thursday, it's time to panic. I think you're close there now. You don't feel good. If he can't get a good fantasy day Thursday night against the Bengals, time to worry, and you might have to go in a different direction.
It was his second straight game with fewer than 10 fantasy points. He completed 56.5% of his throws, 153 yards through the air, just 11 yards rushing, 7 carries. And the one thing when you look at him running too, I mean, he just doesn't look explosive while carrying the ball. That's if you just look at the box score and stuff, you should go back and watch those games because it's like you said, he hasn't topped the 15-yard rushing mark, or he's done it only once in the past 4 games. And so that's the one thing that we talk about, dual threat. Lamar Jackson, he's a cheat code. When he's not doing that, you're getting, like I said, the 7.22 fantasy point outings. And even when he does run, it doesn't look like he's got the speed or the elusiveness that we've seen before in the past. And hopefully, as the season progresses, he continues to get healthy. But seeing him not practice on those days, like you said, with the ankle injuries, returning to the injury report every single week, it doesn't bode well for the rest of the season. So you said it. You've got the Bengals. If you can't get it done against the Bengals, then we absolutely have to look at him as a downgrade at the quarterback position. He's obviously going to be in the top 8. You're playing the Bengals this week. I don't know if I could put him lower than that.
Yeah, it's probably the last call. I mean, he does get the Bengals 2 times in the next 3 weeks. He gets the Steelers and Patriots, but it's not good. Unless there's a quick turnaround, it's going to be difficult to win a fantasy championship with Lamar Jackson as your quarterback this year.
All right, let's go through more winners and losers here. We got to mention Jahmyr Gibbs here at least once during this show. Some more winners, some more losers here coming up next. We sure do. We're making sure you get those championships this year. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you right here, fantasylife.com. That's where you can check out all of our articles. Adam has his out live 100% free, just the takeaways from week 12. I've got early waiver wire names to know if you need to go that direction as well. But make sure you guys are going there. And again, you know what's coming up here. We're going to make sure to take as many questions as you can through the phone lines over on X as well in the water cooler. But before we get there, Adam, fantasy winners, if we're talking winners, hello, Wan'Dale Robinson and whoever started Wan'Dale Robinson over the weekend, Jameis Winston. If you were looking at a streaming option, I will say this, Adam, I did not recommend Jameis Winston as a streaming option this weekend, but obviously proved me wrong. There are 32 fantasy points from him. Wan'Dale Robinson had 30 fantasy points, just right. He was the wide receiver 2 so far. I know we still got Monday Night Football, but he's the wide receiver 2 so far behind Jaxon, Smith-Njigba, who gave you 37. Amon-Ra St. Brown is right behind him. I didn't expect this, but shout out to the full Jameis Winston experience that we got yesterday.
We usually do expect this when Winston's at quarterback, and we did not see it last week. I don't know, maybe if the weather was a factor or maybe the receivers, because Slayton didn't play in that game. He did in this one. He had some work early, was quiet. And yeah, Robinson, if you look at the numbers for Robinson and Jefferson this year, Robinson has better numbers than Justin Jefferson and has more touchdowns. He has 3, Jefferson has 2. So, yeah, Wan'Dale Robinson getting it done. And, yeah, the Giants, another game that they had a lead, let it slip and lost. Not that it matters. I think if you're a Giants fan, you don't care about that at this point. You want that higher draft pick. But I think it worked out for them in the end. You're entertained. Winston makes things fun and interesting. And you still didn't get the win because, again, what does it do for you at this point? You want that higher draft pick,
but get the better draft pick.
Yeah, I would assume Jaxon Dart returns next week. But
yeah, it felt like he was close this week, but
yeah, I don't know. CJ Stroud's missed 3 games, so who knows? Wow, and the Giants play. Well, he does get an extra day. The Giants do play Monday night, a week from tonight, at New England.
You see, by the way, what Neighbors tweeted? Or no, maybe it wasn't a tweet. It was a post though.
I think it was Instagram, right? Or he posted on social media. Yeah.
Sometimes I think they are making us lose on purpose.
Yeah, then he deleted it.
Then they said, "Hey, you can't tell them our plans. Get that out of here." They did fire, by the way, their defensive coordinator, Shane Bowen, after the another late collapse there. I thought it was thrilling that the Giants were even in this, to be honest with you, against this Lions team. But yeah, this comes 2 weeks after Brian Dable has been fired. So it was the 5th time this season that Bowen's defense allowed at least a 10-point lead slip away. So, which is also ties an NFL record. So they parted ways.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to help.
No, it will, for sure. You get the coaching bump there. Jaxon Dart should be back next week, maybe this week, I should say. But Wan'Dale Robinson, you're still going to continue, especially in those deeper formats. He's been good for you these past couple. So you just say to yourself, all right, going to keep throwing him out there. I did not play Slayton, thank goodness I didn't. But that's been a little bit of an up and down. But yeah, 30-point day, 7.6 week 11 from Wan'Dale Robinson, 12, 13, 7. So that's kind of right in the range. We can't expect 30 points week in and week out, and then they've got their week 14 bye, like you said.
Yeah, so again,
there you go.
And Tracy was the lead back, but the problem is the lack of touchdowns, goal line carries. But look, 3 catches for 68 yards, 20 for 62.
You'll take it.
Yeah, and Singletary obviously is very dependent on touchdowns. He didn't get one this game.
Do you have Singletary? I can't remember if he's one that you. I don't either. He's 4.7 fantasy points from him as well. I think, like you said, in those deeper formats, maybe you're looking at having to start him. But again, this was at least a fun game to watch against Detroit. And Jahmyr Gibbs is just our hero and gave you 55 fantasy points. You have him anywhere?
Yeah, I think only one league. Yeah, but I did like him. I think he was my RB 2 or 3. Right, it was Bijan 1. I think he was my 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So right. So some of my decisions, like picking 3, were like, do I take Gibbs or Lamb? And
Yeah.
I went Lamb in the GST, and I kind of wish I could have that back.
Tough. It's tough. He now has 3 games with at least 36 fantasy points in the past 5, and he's averaging more yards per carry for the season than he did in either of his first 2 seasons. He's just on his way to a great end of the year. So Jahmyr Gibbs managers had just stand up. Applaud yourself. We're going to the Fantasy Life water cooler. Coming up here next. It is about that time. Time for the Fantasy Life water cooler right here. Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you on this Monday, breaking down everything we saw from Week 12, getting you ready for this Monday night football game, and of course the rest of the regular season. We're very close to the fantasy playoffs here, Adam. So people need to be locked in. We know they are because they're listening to us. We've got the best listeners. If you've got questions though, or anything you want to talk through fantasy football wise, 888-963-2682 is the phone number to call in. And as always, we're checking our messages over there at Valenzuela17, at Adam Ronis on X. So you can send us some messages over there. I see a couple coming in already, but fantasylife.com is the other place that you can go, and a place that we always recommend because you can not only subscribe to our Fantasy Life newsletter, that is 100% free, but you can check out all of our articles 100% free as well. Adam already has his up, what we learned in week 12. I've got my waiver wire column up as well. So check those out and much more over there at fantasylife.com. All right, Adam, you ready to go? You got some
Yes.
coffee this morning? You
Yeah, I
good?
did actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Not Folgers, obviously.
No, definitely
That's
not.
fine. It's fine. I got some folders. I'm good to go. Chip Kelly. Didn't mention this at the top, but Chip Kelly was fired as offensive coordinator for the Raiders. And this happened Sunday night, last night. This is 11 games into his first season with the organization, and they said, you know what, we're fine. They lost to the Cleveland Browns yesterday, 24-10. Raiders are 2-9 to start the season. I haven't seen Pete Carroll name a new coordinator yet, but they're tied for last in the NFL in points per game. They're 30th in total yards per game, 31st in rushing per game, 30th in offensive EPA, and 28th in red zone efficiency. So basically, Adam, pick a stat, any stat offensively, and it's not good. They've scored fewer than 10 points in 4 games. That is the most in the NFL. When you go and get someone like Ashton Genty, and we have to ask ourselves why he's only getting 6 carries in a game, this was 2 weeks ago, yeah, we have to just look a little bit further. He has 8 total touchdowns. He's averaging 3.6 yards per carry. Maybe this sparks something in Las Vegas, but Chip Kelly again is out as offensive coordinator.
The offensive line is a major problem. Genty has
Yeah.
no room to run, 2.9 yards per carry. So they did give him the football yesterday with 17 carries, but he saved his day in the passing game, and that's where it's going to have to happen going forward. He had 8 catches for 58 yards and a touchdown because, again, this offensive line has been a problem. Geno Smith was sacked 10 times yesterday.
I know.
10. So, yeah,
that's not good.
the Raiders are a disaster right now.
Did we expect anything less?
Well, I mean,
guess I wanted a little bit more from Geno, one of the most accurate passers in the NFL, right?
Yeah, not this year.
Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Again, so we've got 2 firings now. It's defensive coordinator Shane Bowen for the Giants and offensive coordinator Chip Kelly for the Raiders. Maybe this sparks something, right? Maybe that's what they needed. Oh,
no, I don't think
okay.
so.
Not just the immediate no, it's not going to happen. Yeah, it's probably not, but you know me, I'm trying to be optimistic here. Speaking 10 sacks, what, Myles Garrett's 5 sacks away from breaking the single season sack record. He's a beast.
Yeah, he had 3 more. So yeah, he's been dominant once again.
Yeah, water is wet. I mean, that's what we talk about that with Myles Garrett all the time. So again, Chip Kelly fired as offensive coordinator for the Raiders. Maybe that sparks something. Adam said no immediately, but we'll see. We'll see who ends up being right there. Some more news just on the injury front that I wanted to get to. Todd Bowles said Baker Mayfield has a left shoulder sprain, so he's getting an MRI today. We'll see what happens there. He was initially examined on that medical tent. That was so. Did you watch that after throwing that 14-yard touchdown pass to Tez Johnson in the second quarter? He was still scrambling. He was still good to go. He tried to set his feet to throw another deep pass, but it just looked like he couldn't get the momentum, and then he went down for the last time in that game. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
It looked painful. Looked awful.
Yeah, that game was over very quickly, so there might have been some people said, okay, I'm going to turn this off, but obviously I still watch because fantasy points, that I needed from Tampa Bay that I did not
Did
get.
not get.
But
No.
yeah, I mean, look, the Rams are dominant right now. Everyone's going to say they're the best team in football, but we do this every week. There's a new top team every single week, and then it changes. So, yes, they look excellent right now. Stafford is playing at an MVP level. He is now the favorite by a good amount. And yeah, they are rolling right now. Won 6 in a row. They look great on both sides of the football. And Tampa Bay now is tied for the division lead with Carolina. Obviously,
Yeah.
Carolina did not have their bye yet. They play tonight. But Carolina, with a win tonight, would go into first place in the NFC South.
Crazy.
So, yeah, that division is pretty bad. One team has to get in, but Tampa Bay needs to start to turn things around. And they're going to need a healthy Baker Mayfield, who clearly has not played as well lately. I mean, he was in the MVP
Oh
conversation
yeah.
early in the year, which, again, was a little crazy. But early in the year, those things tends to happen. But they get the Cardinals this week at home. Then they're home for the Saints, home for the Falcons. So they get 3 games in a row at home. Okay. So they need
This
to.
is a nice fantasy playoff schedule too.
It is, yeah.
Atlanta,
And they
Carolina, Miami.
Panthers 2 times in the last 3 weeks. So that probably will decide the division between those 2 teams. But yeah, they need to get Baker Mayfield healthy.
They
Baker
need him.
Mayfield is not. I mean, I can't imagine many people started him this week. He was way lower in the rankings in this matchup, and I think some of the receiver injuries have caught up. I mean, Chris Godwin did make his return, but there's no way you were expecting him to do much in his first game back, and he played 25 snaps in the game and had 4 targets.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't have been expecting much from him. He was one of those guys where we said, let's wait a week and see what his full workload is. Just because yeah, you didn't want any part of that. Yeah, I had Baker Mayfield QB 13 this week. So
Yeah, I thought it
outside
would
the
be a
top
little
12.
lower.
Yeah, well, I had Sam Darnold 14, Jordan Love 15. But Brissett was ahead of him, Daniel Jones, Caleb Williams. So yeah, and like you said, this team needs him to come back because yeah, you don't want Bridgewater 8 of 15, 62 yards on that Sunday night game, and Emeka Egbuka has really come back down to earth. That's the other part of this that you're looking around saying, "Ooh, we really need him to get going." He had the one big game against New England after their bye. That was week 10, 23.5 fantasy points. Since then, you've got 9 and 6.2. So again, a nicer schedule coming up, but you definitely want Baker Mayfield in there to feel a little bit better about him.
Yeah, it's not been a good run here, and they're asking him to be the number one, and maybe it's too much at this point. But again, yeah, like you said, the schedule is a little favorable. They've had some tough matchups recently,
Yeah.
and last night was just a no-show. It was over pretty quickly. You could tell watching that game earlier. Like, yep, this is
Oh
over.
yeah. It was bad. I went to sleep.
Well, that I'm not surprised about. I did stay up and watch it.
8:30.
What?
I'm a little bit sick. Come on,
Oh
give me a
my
break.
goodness! I think I
It
went to
was
bed like
nice.
2:30.
Ugh.
I
Yeah,
know.
I was in
I
full
wanted to
red.
go to sleep. I couldn't.
Well, just go close
I
your
was up since
get a little face mask and
it's.
or eye mask,
I was up
whatever.
since 6:30
Oh,
a.m.
I know. You got the early show with Gene Clemens.
Yeah, 7 a.m. on Sundays.
Yeah, brutal. Brutal. I was there with you last year. Don't worry.
Oh, I know.
I couldn't do the 4
You
a.m.s.
tapped
That was
out.
ooh, the 4 a.m.s were a little bit I just didn't by the end of those shows I didn't even know what I was saying. I was like, wait, what? What did I just say? Anyways, no, I'm just kidding. T. Higgins, by the way, concussion protocol. This is one we have to worry about only because again, short week. So we've
He's
got
not playing.
Thanksgiving. Yeah, I know.
It's
Just let me
Thursday.
finish
He's
soon. I
not
know.
playing.
I
You're like you
know.
said
Just
we have
let
to
me give
worry
you the
about. Just say he's not
stats.
playing.
We don't have that confirmed, Adam. I'm not gonna say it
Okay.
until it's confirmed. He's in
99.9%
Would
or
you get out of
99.6.
here? Get out of here. Concussion protocol. Yeah, he's probably not going to play. But that's it's because it's a quick turnaround on Thursday night. So or Thursday for Thanksgiving games. That was a bad hit he took. Jahmyr Chase is going to be back. He was only suspended for the one game with the game check. What was it? $450,000
Something like
or
that. Yeah,
something like
something
that.
close to
Just
your
like yours.
salary.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. So super unfortunate. Again, so do you think we get Joe Burrow back, or do you think they wait to put Joe Burrow back out there if he really does want to go back and play where he gets his full complement of weapons, like where he has everyone out there? I was talking with Gene Clemens and he and Marcus Grant, and they brought up great points where they thought that maybe he could have gone this weekend, but they didn't want to put him out there without Jamar Chase. Now you're down T. Higgins, so I'm curious if you think he's going to come back.
I don't think it was because of Chase. I think it was they are not going to have any full practices this week, right? It's
Mhm.
a short week. So I think they said, all right, last week, let's get him out there, get in some full practices, which he did for a couple days. Although after the game, they were non-committal on whether he
Yeah.
returns. Obviously, losing the game didn't help them. But I think at this point, Burrow just wants to get out there and play. If he feels good enough and the doctors clear him, I could see him returning and playing this week. But the good thing is we'll know pretty quickly. We won't have to wait the whole week because, again, this is a challenging week with the 3 games on
Oh,
Thursday.
yeah.
You're going to have to make some tough decisions where it's like you don't know the status of guys for Sunday and then guys are playing on Thursday. You're going to be forced in a critical week too. Now there are no teams on bye. That helps, but yeah, that's the one thing. We love the Thanksgiving Day games because we get, 3 games across the day we can watch, but it does affect your fantasy team because there will
Oh,
be
for
a lot
sure.
of situations where you're like, well, I don't know if this guy's going to go on Sunday, and we're going to find out tomorrow and Wednesday guys who are injured that we didn't know about during the game. So it
Always.
does make it very challenging this week because you're going to be forced to make tough decisions, and some of them are going to backfire. You're going to be like, oh, you know what? I don't know if this guy's going to play Sunday. I got to play this guy on Thursday. You play him, and then the guy on Sunday winds up playing and has a good game. So hopefully we can avoid that, but it's kind of inevitable.
3 games on Thursday: Packers, Lions, Chiefs, Cowboys, Bengals, Ravens. Then we have the one Friday game with the Bears, Eagles. And then you've got the full slate on Sunday. And then you've got the Monday night game, December 1st, Giants, Patriots. We should know about Jackson Dart, though, before that. But again, like you said, if you're making a decision for quarterbacks on Thursday, yeah, it might not be in time. But yeah, it's T. Higgins in concussion protocol. Not confirmed yet out, like Adam said, but he said what do you say,
Yeah,
99.9%? Okay.
99.6. I mean, look, if he had the
It's bad.
concussion on Sunday, they're playing Thursday. You got to go through the 5 steps. I mean,
Yeah.
isn't it? Because there was reported he is in concussion protocol, right? I thought I saw
Yes,
that
this
this morning.
morning.
Yeah,
They
so
reported that.
he's not playing.
I know. Hey, oh my goodness. We didn't talk about this because we were obviously off the air on Friday. Brandon Ayuk, did you see those reports?
Yeah.
What? Come on, Brandon Ayuk. I was rooting for you. Arizona State. Like what? Come on. So if anyone didn't read about this, you go to the Athletic. They did a great breakdown. I think that's where the initial reports came out. Adam was Diana Rossini reporting this, but so Brandon Ayuk suffered the season-ending knee injury in October 2024. He was placed on the physically unable to perform list in July. PUP. He has yet to been activated, but now they're reporting that, according to numerous sources on this situation, that he is just like they believe that no reconciliation is likely, and that he is going to maybe be just giving up his entire contract. That was a $120 million extension, and it looks like they're just going to be parting ways. It looks like he's failed to attend meetings, declined to participate in other team activities in recent months, and the 49ers have grown increasingly frustrated with the receiver's lack of communication. So, I mean, this means that they would void the guarantees in his contract, which is about $27 million next season. This is stunning. I did not even expect that this could be an option, Adam.
Yeah, no one did. I did not want any part of him in drafts.
No.
I thought I saw people taking him in the ninth, 10th round. And again, when you got these players coming off injuries, I think people are way too optimistic. And even at the beginning, Shanahan had said he could be back anywhere from week 6 to 10. I mean, what? And you really want to draft a guy and keep him half the year on your roster and you don't know how he's going to perform when he returns? So people do this all the time. I know someone might be like, well, I had an IR spot, I put him on it. Still, there's an opportunity to take someone else in those rounds that could help you, even if it's only a handful of weeks. So, yeah, I just wanted no part of Ayuk in drafts,
This is
and
crazy,
and
though.
yeah, this story is more wild.
It's just It's nuts. So if they go ahead and they're voiding this guaranteed money in Ayuk's contract for 2026, it basically just looks like they're going to clear the way for him to be released by the end of this season. Because again, 27 million. This is off again the 4-year, $120 million extension. Adam, I don't know how we got here. Obviously, Brandon Ayuk didn't comment. His agent declined to comment. So they can receive a significant, the 49ers can recover a significant portion of that contract back if they are voiding his future guarantees. And we'll see if they, I mean, obviously it feels like they're going to part ways, but yeah, just not a good end for Brandon Ayuk here, who
Well,
we
he
just
was
didn't
he was
expect.
not good last year, and then
No, he wasn't.
there was a thing in the story that the relationship with Shanahan was damaged after they lost in the Super Bowl. So maybe his heart just hasn't been in it because last year he wasn't good.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously his heart wasn't, and he's not going to meetings, or I mean, he's just not even going, like, doing anything to fulfill his contractual obligations in this situation. That's where they're coming from, and it doesn't look like he's filing any grievance about it. Like, he knows that this is happening. I don't know. That's crazy. So we'll probably see him on the move again, but realistically, even depending on where he goes, it's going to be the same conversation, Adam, of where he's coming off this major injury. He wasn't able to play at all in the 2025 season. We'll see how it ends, but yeah, just really kind of disappointed in that, especially after the extension. Not good.
Yeah, this is something you usually don't see.
No, not usually. Ricky Pearsall season. Can we say that? Jawan Jennings season. No, just kidding. It's George Kittle season. We know what's coming.
And McCaffrey.
And McCaffrey. So, okay, you gonna draft him next year? Are we gonna keep doing this ping pong back and forth?
McCaffrey, well,
Yeah.
you're probably gonna have to take him one or two. You're gonna willing to do that
I
after
don't
this
know. I
after
have
this
been
massive
thinking about it
workload.
already, though. To be honest, I was thinking about it last night. I was sitting there saying, "Dang, what am I gonna do with CMC next year?
He'll be 30 next year, coming off a season of like 500 touches.
What could go wrong?"
Nothing at all.
I mean,
I
hey, he
mean,
stayed
through
healthy this time.
yeah, okay, so it's 11 games, and he's already got doing my quick math, 267 touches in 11 games.
That's crazy. Maybe they start to
267.
lighten it up a little bit. We've seen a little bit more from Brian Robinson Jr.
We have,
Just a little,
I think
little
that's
breaks.
yeah, he's got 8 carries in consecutive games, at least 8 carries in 3 of the last 4. And the one thing is McCaffrey does have 74 receptions. So usually
Yeah, that
you're
helps.
getting less, you're getting hit less on those.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Brandon Ayuk, just a crazy story if you want to go and read it. I saw that one in the Athletic, so that's where I'm going to point you in the direction of. All right, we are going to continue on. We're going to answer as many questions as we can here. Some coming in on X that I see here, Adam. Monday Night Miracles. I want to know what people need to win tonight too, because I'm in a little bit of a tough spot. Oh, I see one here from. Let's see. I'm up 16 points tonight. My opponent has Ricky Pearsall going. Must win to stay alive in the playoff hunt. Do you think I can pull this one out from Keeg?
Yeah, I
16
think so.
points.
Yeah.
Ricky Pearsall? Thank goodness.
I mean, the
I'm
one
playing
good thing is
against-
Pearsall played a lot last week. He didn't really do much, but we've also seen when Jennings and Kittle are healthy, Pearsall doesn't get the target share that we want.
I got one from Jack. Sitting here with my Folgers. Nice. Shout out. You hear that, Adam? This is a winner. I can already tell from Jack. With a 153.56 to 116 lead. I'm all done. Oh, he has CMC and Ricky Pearsall. It's full point PPR, 5-point bonuses for 100 yards. What are my chances? He said, give me the Adam Ronis truth bomb, not the sugar coated version. So 153 to 116. Opponent playing CMC and Ricky Pearsall.
I'd be nervous. Like I said, I'm done and I'm facing McCaffrey and I'm up 46 and I am slightly nervous. Again, Gibbs had 55 yesterday, so McCaffrey certainly could do that. And then he gets the 5-point bonus for 100 yards. The one thing I'll say, I don't think Christian McCaffrey has rushed for 100 yards this year, right? He's not had, once. Oh, no, twice. Okay.
Early though in the season or
twice recently. Because for the beginning of the season, it didn't happen. So he did it October 19th against Atlanta and against the Giants 106 a couple weeks ago.
Week
he has not had
79.
100 receiving yards, obviously, this year. He has come close, though, 92, 82. So I guess you have to worry a little bit about the bonus. Yeah, I haven't. Oh wow.
37, that's 37 points that he needs combined from Pearsall and CMC.
I would. Ooh,
You're nervous.
I would be nervous. Yeah, definitely. Because again, that bonus is key too. Now, you had mentioned Brian Robinson getting involved more. The last 2 weeks, 12 and 13 carries
Yeah.
for McCaffrey,
Yeah.
but
That's what I'm
13
saying.
receptions. So that's probably what they want to do.
He gets it done in the passing game. I mean, so his role, Robinson's role has grown over the past 2 games. He has a 37% rushing attempt share, and that helps give CMC a little bit of a rest. That's led to though 8 rushing attempts and 1 target per game for Brian Robinson Jr.
The other thing, McCaffrey actually hasn't scored a lot of touchdowns either. He had 8 touchdowns going into last week, and he had 3 total last week. So it's not like he's scoring a touchdown every single week. 11 total for this season is good, but with the volume he's had and the season he's having, you would think it could be a little bit more.
Yeah. So appreciate you sending that in, Jack. I like that. Give me the Adam Ronis truth bomb. He's like, we can't be nice about it. All right, there you go. That's what you get. All right, everyone, at Valenzuela 17, at Adam Ronis over there on X. If you've got more questions, more Monday night miracles that you need us to go through, it's time for the best around, though, presented by Xfinity. Of course, bringing up Jaxon, Smith-Njigba. Got to bring up Dak Prescott in this game and George Pickens. We're breaking down the best around here. Coming up next. Athletes, coaches, even college players are getting huge endorsement deals, but the hardest working players in fantasy football, that is commissioners. Mike's Hard Lemonade, the brand for people who go hard, is launching the first ever fantasy commissioner endorsement deal. So listen up. Nominate your commissioner for an MVP level endorsement package, including $25,000 signing bonus and a bunch of other cool swag, clout, and aura. Think your commissioner deserves the spotlight. Submit your nomination at Mike's Fantasy endorsementdeal.com now through December 9th. No purchase necessary. Nominator has to be 21 plus only. Nominee 25 plus only. Winner not hired as endorser. See rules at Mike's Fantasy endorsementdeal.com. Please drink responsibly. Mike's Hard Lemonade Co., Chicago, Illinois. This is Fantasy Life right here, and we are going through the best around presented by the one and only Xfinity. Imagine all your football all in one place. Easy Xfinity. Imagine that. Someone at the top of the list has to be, I know we talked about him in the first hour, Adam, but Jaxon Smith-Njigba, again, is one of the best guys around, because a way for Sam Darnold to make sure that fans forgot about what we saw 2 weeks ago is to just keep giving it to JSN. That is a cheat code. He is someone that you don't have to think about week in and week out. He is must start every single week territory, and he set a single season franchise record for receiving yards. He cleared 165 yards against the Tennessee Titans, found the end zone twice, and I do think that, offensive player of the year has to be on the table for him, especially after what we saw with Jonathan Taylor. I know that we mentioned him before. He had a down game, so it feels like the door's open, but Sam Darnold bounced back nicely, and Jaxon Smith-Njigba really is one of the best around.
Such a homer. Can't go more than 2 segments without bringing up JSN.
How much do we talk about the
Your
Cowboys?
Seattle allegiance is just crushing us.
You're just jealous because you don't have JSN anymore.
George Pickens, baby. He's not far behind.
There we go.
Nah, JSN has been unbelievable, and yeah, I'm jealous for anyone that has him because he has money in the bank every single week.
Every week. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find. He's got to be, I would think, now the favorite for Offensive Player of the Year. And oh no, DraftKings has Jonathan Taylor still at minus 140.
Really?
JSN plus 110, McCaffrey plus 2,500. So yeah, wow, that's a little surprising with Taylor's down game. Taylor does have a little bit of a tough schedule ahead, so I think JSN could surpass him. So JSN next week has Minnesota.
Yeah.
And Taylor has the Texans. He gets the Texans twice, too, the rest of the way.
A few weeks ago, we would have suggested that there's no way that it's going to be anyone other than Jonathan Taylor. But again, after that week 11 bye, 58 rushing yards in this one against the Chiefs, I think the door is open for someone to leapfrog Taylor. Again, it's going to be back and forth like this the whole rest of the way. But again, you saw Jahmyr Gibbs have a big game here. Jaxon Smith-Njigba had 167 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. So I think it's going to be an entertaining race. You don't have futures on anyone right now, right?
No,
in the
I
NFL.
Don't.
Okay.
No.
Would you put money on that? Like if you were looking at the betting market and saying, well, JSN's having such a great season?
Yeah, I think
Not really.
no, I
Okay.
think it's plus 110. That's not bad. I mean, again, if Taylor bounces back this week with a big game, then it'll just lengthen his lead. But I'm a little surprised that JSN has not taken over as the favorite after this weekend.
Yeah, I am too. So JSN, one of the best around. Let me just say, Shedeur Sanders, for everyone that was talking about him, is the first Cleveland rookie quarterback since 1995 to win his debut. So that was the best around for those stats. They won this game 24-10 on the road against Las Vegas. Obviously, Las Vegas parted ways with their offensive coordinator after this one. They snapped a 3-game losing streak, and like I said just now, Shedeur Sanders became the first Browns rookie quarterback in 30 years to win his first career start. And I think that's impressive. I'm curious if you think that they're going to just continue with him. I don't see a reason why they wouldn't, to see what they have. We've seen it with Dylan Gabriel already this season. They kind of know what they have there. They've got a lot of picks because of everything going into next season. I don't know why they wouldn't just continue looking at Shedeur Sanders.
They should, but I think I saw that they did not name him the
Oh
starter for
my
next week
God.
yet.
Why?
I don't know, but they should.
That's weird.
They should just play him at this point. Again, he didn't need to do too much, but that throw deep to Fannin was a really good throw. Eluded a tackle, made the throw perfect on the run. Then the touchdown is Sampson. It was mostly Sampson. It was a short
Oh, for sure.
pass.
Yeah.
But only one interception, only took one sack, and helping Vegas certainly playing Vegas was certainly a big factor. But yeah, that was a solid performance for Sanders in his
Yeah.
first start.
He wasn't spectacular, but wasn't a disaster. That's all you kind of want, right? 11 for
Yeah.
20, 209 yards, and a touchdown pass, one interception, and a win. So, again, we're talking about the best round. When you become the first rookie quarterback in 30 years to win your first start, you have to be talked about here. So, we'll see what they do. He was taken off the field for both of those Judkins touchdowns. And we have to watch Judkins. I think he was able to come back in this one, but that
Yeah.
bodes well for him for this week. But I was still just a little bit nervous. But yeah, there's some things that he'll want back in this game, but still have to shout him out. And last one here, shout out Emmanuel Wilson managers, right? Stand up. Josh Jacobs I was surprised when we got this news. We were on LG TV, which you guys can see LG Live for Fantasy Life on Sundays, but we were live when this news came down, and Josh Jacobs did not get the start. Emmanuel Wilson put up 26.5 fantasy points, had career best numbers in this start that he gets for Josh Jacobs. And yeah, this is why it's so important, first of all, to handcuff your running backs, your RB1s at this time. But Emmanuel Wilson, if you were able to pick him up and start him, you were very happy with what you got.
Yeah, Jacobs has not rushed for 100 yards this year. Wilson did. Now, it did take him 28 carries, and it was 3.8 yards a pop, but still, very productive day. And my guess is we probably see Jacobs on Thursday. One of the
Yeah.
reasons probably why they said, all right, yeah, we'll give Wilson 30 carries because he's probably not going to get much on Thursday. We'll see, though, with Jacobs. We know he's tough. I think some of us were surprised he sat out. Obviously, it made sense. They probably figured that they can get by against Minnesota, and now they have a big game on Thursday in Detroit. So I'm assuming Jacobs returns. I hope not, as someone who has several
Oh,
Emmanuel
stop.
Wilson and no Jacobs. I'm just saying, telling the truth.
Whatever.
Selfishly, I would like to see Jacobs sit another week.
I would like Jacobs to return. So Josh Jacobs, obviously a fan of the show. Please don't listen to Adam.
No,
and
I am
come
a
back.
fan. I'm a fan. I just want him to make sure he's completely healthy for the stretch run.
Oh,
Don't rush
of
it back.
course,
It's a
of
short week.
course.
It's Thanksgiving. Nah.
It's the same
Take
thing
it
we're
easy.
saying with Kyler, right? It's just, take your time if you're
Yeah,
Michael
Kyler,
Wilson
yeah.
manager. Yeah.
Another good Jacoby Brissett day.
Yeah, exactly. Emmanuel Wilson managers, stand up. You're happy with this one. Again, 26.5 fantasy points on Sunday, and that was phenomenal. That's why he is one of the best around. Again, this was presented by Xfinity. Imagine all your football all in one place. Easy Xfinity. Imagine that. We're talking with the one and only Jonathan Von Tobel here, going through the early betting lines, breaking down Monday night football game tonight as well. We're going to do that coming up next. Fantasy football is life. We've got one more game to break down tonight. Carolina Panthers playing against the San Francisco 49ers. And who better to talk to about it than Jonathan Von Tobel here, on-air host and betting analyst over at VSiN. You can find him on Money Moves, Countdown to Kickoff, and Live Bet Sunday. Jonathan, welcome in. We thought your Colts were going to do it, but you had to be happy with at least what you saw. How you doing?
No moral victories. You got to go out there. You got to get
sound
the
like
win.
Adam.
Yeah, I
God.
mean, come on. I mean, I'll say this: if they did not have 2 games against Houston and 2 games against Jacksonville left, maybe you feel a little bit better. But the
Mm,
fact that you still have 4 games against the better teams in the division. Look, I've seen a lot of terrible things happen. I'm a Clippers, Angels, and Colts fan. You can put together all of the sorrow that I've experienced in my life. So I'll
that's
believe it
fair.
when I see it.
Yeah, we were talking about the Texans and saying, because we do overreaction Mondays here, so we were saying, is it really an overreaction to think that the Texans could overtake the Colts and win the AFC South? Because, like you said, we were talking about this in the break. The key here is the math. The Texans and the Colts haven't played yet, so you see them. You see the Texans have still have Jacksonville as well. So this could be a fun one down the stretch. Fun for us that we have no heart in it, and not maybe not fun for you.
I mean, maybe do you go even hotter? Screw the AFC South. Can the Texans win the AFC? I mean, this conference doesn't really look too daunting, and their defense is so good that they're going to be in any game. So if they can pull off the AFC South, I don't think any of these teams wants to see a game where they either have to go to Houston to play them in a first round matchup or anything after that. So if
Yeah.
they get in, it's one of the more dangerous teams I think you're going to see there in the AFC.
Yeah, there we go. All right, Jonathan and Von Tobel right here going through Monday Night Football and what you see just overall as a whole, right? Carolina Panthers traveling to San Francisco to take on those 49ers. Obviously, we're looking at San Francisco being a heavy favorite. 49.5 is the total right here. Overall, what do you expect in this game? What are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of surprised that the market's moved as easily to this 7.5 that we see across the board. I can kind of understand 7, but the fact that you get the hook with relative ease is interesting to me. I think Carolina does have, the capabilities of staying inside of a big number here on the road. Are the 49ers going to learn how to rush the passer here? Dead last in defensive pressure rate heading into this game. Bryce Young's coming off of his best game as a pro. I think that there is a reality where this Carolina offense is good enough to, at the very least, stay inside of the key number on the road. Market moving off of this total here, too, depending on where you look. That's going to be the other interesting facet of it. 50 is the number right now at multiple shops. I expect that this is probably going to be a higher scoring game and thought we would maybe get to that key number of 51 on the total. For your audience, it's a key number with NFL totals. So maybe we get up to that point, but I kind of think Carolina's live in a high-scoring game to, at the very least, stay inside of the number. I don't know about an upset, but I trust enough in this offense against the defense that's had its issues for them to be live to cover.
Nice.
Do you see this as a good game for targeting player props? And if so, what do you have in mind?
Yeah, so I think so. One of the things that I think does stick out, and maybe this isn't to why we're at this hook, but those 2 starting linebackers being out for Carolina, I think is going to be a big deal. You know how Shanahan likes to work this offense. It's a lot of play action. It's a lot of rollouts. It's targeting those linebackers and making them move around and really think about how they're going to attack this offense. And if now you have 2 backups in those key spots along the interior, I mean, it's low-hanging fruit, but how are we not looking at George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey in this game? I think that was the tempting part for me. Either receptions, George Kittle's receptions are 4.5, over -133. The yards for him at 57.5. McCaffrey, same deal. I thought 45.5 in terms of yardage was a fair ask. Same with longest reception, by the way, at 15.5. If you're going to get these backups to get moving in one direction and then yank it and go in the other, that spells out like a pretty big chunk play for Christian McCaffrey. So those are the player props that I thought I was looking at, but specifically for McCaffrey, over 15.5 on the longest reception and maybe over 45.5 total receiving yards.
Yeah, because we've been trying to say nice things about Tedero McMillan because he's coming off the big game last week
Yeah.
with Bryce Young. And we say, okay, we're not going to, he's not going to get that many fantasy points week in and week out. But you do have to look at Carolina's receivers and say, okay, this 49ers defense did give up 33.5 fantasy points to Michael Wilson last week. So now they sit in top 5 in receptions, yards, fantasy points, catch rate allowed to receivers. So we're trying to tell ourselves, Monday Night Miracles, if you still have Tedero McMillan to go, maybe he could at least have a good game against this 49ers defense that's been banged up all season.
I still got Tet, even though I am the highest
There we
scoring
go.
team in my guillotine league this week. So everybody
there
at
we go.
VSiN, it's the VSiN league. Better watch out, buddies. I'm telling you.
That's nice.
But I will say to your point, bringing back up the fact they don't really rush the passer particularly well. Bryce Young, I don't know if this is a one-off or if all of a sudden he's starting to find the middle of the field a little bit more. But last week against Atlanta, 11 of 16 on throws beyond the line of scrimmage and in between the numbers, 12.6 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown. So if he's more comfortable, if there's not bodies around his demure figure and he's able to throw the ball downfield to Tedero McMillan, I do think that McMillan's kind of proven, by the way, now the favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, that he is kind of emerging as not only the best rookie pass catcher, but one of the better ones that you're going to see in the league as his career moves forward. And I would generally agree. I think Bryce Young's got a really good connection with them. He's a good receiver, and they're going to try to find him very often in this game.
So in week 13, no teams are in bye. And of course, we got 3 games on Thursday on Thanksgiving. Is there anything you're eyeing on those games early that you want to jump in on?
Yeah, there's a couple. So it's not that I like to zig when people are zagging, but you do got to find some of the overreactions, some of the spots. Now, I think a lot of people might freak out here, and rightfully so. But this also has to do with injuries. So there's two games. But Houston catching 4.5 against Indy, just because I think we're going to get C.J. Stroud back here, and if we do, the market's just going to move off that 4.5. Every once in a while, you can look at the market and say, all right, let's just snag some closing line value every once in a while and grab at 4.5 that's available on a number that I'm quite certain is going to close 3.5 by the time we get to kickoff, if Stroud's going to be out there. That's one definitely worth looking at. And speaking of zigging, when everybody's zagging, the world is falling. I think this is one of the, actually, no, I think it is the worst run franchise in the National Football League. I cover them out here part-time. But if you're going to give me 10 with the Las Vegas Raiders on the road against the LA Chargers, I'll bite. This is a completely different role than what they have found themselves in the last week when they're laying 3.5, 4 against the Browns. It's a number akin to what they were getting on the road on Thursday night against the Broncos, and they stayed inside of that number 2. The market doesn't really know, I think, what to do with that team. It also, I think, doesn't really know what to do with the New Orleans Saints. The Saints were small favorites against the Falcons. So just a day ago, the market was telling us they were equals to Atlanta, if depending on what you use for home field. Now they're in Miami catching 6. This is a really big move back and forth, and the market's trying to gauge where this team's at. I'll jump on the overreaction and think that the Saints can stay inside of that number.
Could you potentially feel the same way about the Bears? Like we always have these questions about what Bears team are we looking at here? Like, are they really indicative of what their record is this season? Or are they going to fall off at any point? But I look at the spread at 7 going up against the Philadelphia Eagles at Philly, and Philly was a little bit exposed in this game yesterday. What do you think there?
They were, but this is going to be one of my weaknesses, Kendall, where I'm stubborn at times, both in life and in betting. This is probably going to be my 3rd straight week of trying to bet against Chicago. I mean, you just look at 8-3 with the point differential. You can't be this good. You can't continue to just pull these things off, and yet here they are. They continue to do it. And I get Philly, that was a bad look. And I was watching Sirianni's press conference this morning, and I'm just man, he just doesn't really seem to get it. They're kind of just blaming it on they were playing 5 personnel, 5 guys up front. Well, you got to be able to adjust to that. But I do think this defense is good enough to make Caleb Williams and this offense pay for their transgressions over the last few weeks. So I would lean toward Philly, but I want it under 7.
All right. I love that. Jonathan, appreciate you so much hanging out with us always on these Mondays. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you next Monday.
Yep, you got it, guys. Thank you.
All right, there he goes. Jonathan Von Tobel, again, on-air host and betting analyst over at VSiN. Find him on Money Moves. That's Monday to Friday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. Countdown to kickoff, 12 to 1 on Sundays, and then live bet Sunday, 1 to 4 on Sundays as well. We've got one more game, Adam, and we've got a lot of Monday Night Miracles coming in. They're saying don't sugarcoat it. They're saying let Adam tell me that I'm going to lose. We'll do that if we think that it's necessary. We're going to preview that Monday Night Football game, 49ers Panthers, coming up here next. If you call yourself a sports fan, you've got to have Xfinity, all the games all in one place. And here's what you get when you watch sports with Xfinity. You get the Sports Zone, which means every pro football game and over 1,000 college games, highlights and alerts all in one place. You also get the multi-view, one of my favorites. You can be in up to 4 stadiums at once. You also get the Xfinity fan view. So that means live scores, odds, and stats all in one place, personalized to you and the teams that you love and care about. You also get enhanced 4K and the voice remote, just say football. Imagine all your football all in one place. Easy. Learn more at xfinity.com. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. We've got one game left here for week 12, and then we are on to week 13 across the NFL. At K Valenzuela 17, at Adam Ronis over there on X. If you want to know your Monday Night Miracles, we want to see what you need as well. But this should be an interesting one here, Adam, tonight. So we just talked with Jonathan Von Tobel about it, but we're looking at the Carolina Panthers going up and taking on, of course, the San Francisco 49ers. Total set at 49.5, and the San Francisco 49ers are favored heavily in this one. 7.5 is the spread. Minus 400 on the money line, all this stuff. What are your overall expectations, though, in this game for, like we talked about, a 49ers defense that's been banged up, and they've been giving up fantasy points?
Yeah, I think that's the key, is they have not been able to generate pressure on quarterbacks. And we did see Bryce Young come off his best game of the season, finished the second half strong last year. So I do think Carolina can stay competitive in this game. Clearly, it's a very important game for both teams because Carolina is right there now in the hunt for a division title with Tampa Bay losing. In fact, if they win, they can take over first place in the NFC South. And the 49ers trying to keep pace with Seattle and the Rams. They need to win this game to get to 8-4. They still haven't had their bye. Both teams actually in this game both have the bye in week 14. So I do think it can be a competitive game. Carolina could keep it close. McCaffrey's first game facing his former team, so
Crazy.
he'll be pumped up for that one. And either way, he's getting a big workload. We saw the last two games, though, they have scaled back a little bit on his rushing attempts, 12 and 13, as we have seen Brian Robinson a little bit more, getting 8-9 carries a game. But McCaffrey just getting it done in the passing game as well. So we know he's going to have a big game. Kittle, with Brock Purdy back, certainly has given him some life. He didn't have the same connection with Mac Jones. So, and then Ted McMillan's coming off again, I think he's had a really good year. Just the lack of touchdowns. He has 4 touchdowns. 2 came in 2 games, 2 against Dallas and then 2 last week. And they need to keep feeding him. He's really good. And if Bryce Young had been more consistent, played better, you'd have a better fantasy numbers. But he's still been very solid this year.
Yeah, and Bryce Young looks like in this matchup should get some extra time to find Tedero McMillan, and they're coming off one of their, well, for Bryce Young especially, one of his best games of his career. He completed a season-high 68.9% of his 45 pass attempts. He had 123.2 passer rating last week, 448 passing yards. And so again, this 49ers pass rush is a little bit non-existent. They've got a league low 12 sacks, 25.5 pressure percentage as well. So this is a nice matchup for Bryce Young, Tedero McMillan. And then, like you said, with CMC, I mean, he is this offense. And now that Brock Purdy's back, it feels like another layer for them as well with him and his connection with George Kittle. But CMC leads the NFL in both touches and scrimmage yards entering this week. He scored 11 touchdowns. And I'm just looking at this one like Rico Dowdle as well. I mean, Rico Dowdle is someone that I think a lot of people are going to rely on in this game. I see a couple questions that we can get to, but I've got Rico Dowdle in one. It's in our GST. You need me to win. I need me to win. Come on, Rico. Let's just see it here tonight.
Yeah, always rooting for my guy Rico. He had a strong finish last year for Dallas, so I'm happy to see him have success. He has slowed down the last 2 games. 18 for 53 against the Saints, 19 for 45 against Atlanta, but last week in the passing game, 5 for 55. So showing that he can get it done in a variety of ways. And again, the 49ers have a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the football. So I think we should hopefully see some points tonight.
That's just what we need. Let's just see some fantasy points. Last one that I've seen questions on is Ricky Pearsall. So we saw him return from his injury on Sunday. That was his first game since week 4. Didn't have great results in that one. He had 0 yards on 3 targets, but he was immediately put in as the number 2 receiver, right? He ran a route on 85% of those plays. I'm looking at Pearsall and thinking to myself, maybe he could get hot. I think he's been on people's flex radar for this weekend against Carolina because this defense has allowed 6 touchdowns to receivers, but 10th highest EPA against the pass. So what do you think for him? I also see a couple Monday Night Miracle questions that I'll get to after this with Ricky.
Yeah, I think he could bounce back tonight. I mean, he was on the field a lot last week. I think that was a good sign. Panthers also run a lot of zone, and he's better against zone. So I think that's another factor in his favor. And I guess the one concern is this, when a lot of those performances early in the year came, they weren't completely healthy. So with Kittle, McCaffrey, Jennings, he's kind of 4th in that order. But I do think he can bounce back and have a better game tonight. I would like to see him perform like he did early in the season. I do have him in a couple leagues. I am starting him, so I definitely could use some production from him.
All right, I see one here. Up 15. This is from Courtney. Up 15, and the opponent has Dowdle. Said, break it to me gently. That's you, Adam. Break it to him gently. 15.
I know. I think that's gonna be a sweat. I mean, last week Dowdle came in just I think at 15 last week in PPR without scoring a touchdown. And we really haven't seen him evolve much in the passing game over the last 5 games. Last week was the first one. But the volume's been there, 24 touches, 21, 27. So anytime you're getting a running back that much volume in a game that we expect to be competitive, I would say I really do think it's 50-50 for him.
Yeah, he's gotten you 15 fantasy, 15.3, 15 straight up weeks 10 and 11. So that'll definitely be a sweat. Who are you taking in this one tonight, by the way? 49ers, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I think they win the game.
Yeah, I do too. I see one from Kevin up. I'm up by 5 full PPR, have Pearsall going up against the 49ers defense. Ooh. What do you
Yeah,
think?
that's going to be
That's
close.
a sweat.
It
That's
also
gonna be
depends on the
close for
defensive
sure.
scoring too.
Yeah.
It
All right.
varies across formats.
Man, appreciate everyone hanging out with us on this Monday. We are going to be back same time here tomorrow. Enjoy Monday Night Football. We'll see you then.